Hello and good evening, students. Today we will learn some kind of basic things or the methods that can be used for our important school syllabus. So here we will learn some kind of things in calculating the perimeter. So we will use some techniques in the first unit in the school syllabus book. Uh, Before we continue that, are you grade 10 or 11? Can I know that?
I'm grade 10, sir.
Okay. So I will explain it to you one by one so that we can understand it, right? So basically, if you talk about perimeter, it's nothing, right? If you have some kind of objects, like you have some kind of shape like this, maybe we'll draw it like this. If let's say you have a shape like this, and then that shape you have to cut somewhere else you want, right? Maybe using a scissors, you can cut like this. After cutting that, it will be like a rope, right? And then you have to expand that rope like this. After expanding that rope, you have to obtain a measuring tape like this. And then you make sure that the rope has no curves inside it. It should be a linear one like this. And then you have to measure it with that tape. After measuring that, there will be a value, you will obtain it, right? That value is called as perimeter, right? That is simply it, right? You have to cut it with the scissor, and then you have to expand it as a line, and then you have to measure it with the tape. That's called as perimeter. So this perimeter, when we are calculating that, it's kind of like a rope like this. And then if this rope is organized like this, and if that rope is bended like this, and then this is what we call it as rectangle, right? Now, if we are going to find the perimeter of that rectangle, it's very simple. We know that we have to add this length plus this length plus this length plus this length. So altogether, we have to all the lengths and the breadth of that rectangle. So then it will be like 2 times length plus breadth, right? So that is how it comes. Similarly, we can apply it for the square, triangle, circle, etc. Also other shapes as well, right? Maybe if it is a square, we know that it's 4 times its length. So like we have to add each length one by one, and then it will be like 4 times of the length. Okay, that's not a problem. We know that. Okay, this is what they are. But the problem here is also for the triangle, we know that it's not a problem. It's the sum of all the sides lengths, right? So we have to add this side's length, this length, this length. So then it will be the perimeter if we add all them together. But the problem here is on the circle, right? Let's say you have a rope like this, and then for the particular length of this rope, what you have to do is you have to obtain some kind of rod or something. On the rod, you have to bend that rope like this very tightly, right? And if you bend it like this, and if this is connecting with this one, right? Let's say this end and this end are connecting with together, like joining together. But if you obtain a different one, maybe a higher diameter shaft, like a bigger one, and when you bend that rope, it will not be connecting. This end and this net end will not going to be connected, right? So for that, we have to obtain a particular radius or the diameter shaft in order to bend that rope, right? So for that, what we have to do is, let's say we find something by our magical powers or something, and if we find that particular amount of radius, right, it should be like that diameter times pi, right? There will be only one thing, right? So then there will not be like this size and this size. two sizes. There will be only one size for this particular rope, right? So after that, you have to obtain the diameter of that shaft, and then you have to multiply it by pi. If you do that, and then that's the perimeter of that one, right? Or we can say it like we know that diameter is equal to 2 times of r. That means the radius is like from the center to it's one of the point that relies on the circumference. That is called as r. If you multiply that by 2, and then we can obtain the diameter, right? It's obvious, we know that. So this is how we calculate the circumference, like a perimeter of the circle. Okay, so this one was invented by Archimedes. So he has invented this pi. So, but the problem here in mathematics, what is the value of pi? Right? Even nowadays, pi is a problem. Right? We don't have a specific value for that pi. Maybe in our schools, we might learned that pi is equal to 3.14 or something. Or maybe pi is equal to 22 divided by 7. These are approximate values, not the exact value of the pi. Right? Right. Because the value is not like this. It will continue, like it will be going up to infinite. Right? So that is why we cannot obtain the exact value of pi, but we assume that pi may be equal to 3.14 or 22 by 7. Most of the times in your past papers, it will be mentioned, right? So pi will be, you can take it as 3.14 or you can take it as 22 by 7. If they didn't say that in the past in the model papers or the past papers or the papers that you are sitting for exams, you have to take it as like pi is equal to 22 divided by 7, right? Okay, so we know that what is pi and the radius of this circle, right? So let's say you have a circle with the radius of 7 millimeters. How can you calculate that? The perimeter of that means the total length of that rope, right? After cutting this down, there will be a rope like this. And then what is the length of this rope? That is called as perimeter. So what is the length of this rope? That is called as perimeter. We know that the equation is, right, 2 pi r, right? So we have to put 2 times 22 divided by 7 times 7. Right? This is what we have to substitute instead of this equation. This is the equation like C is equal to 2 pi r. So it will be 2 times 22 by 7 times 7. This is obvious. Okay. Up to these things you might have learned in the schools. Now I'm going to teach you the technique, how we can solve this problem. Right? So basically, it's like 22, right? When you see this 22, you see it as 22. But I see it as 2 times 11. That is what I see. Why? Do I have any specific reasons for that? Why do I see like 2 times 11? Can you say that? Can you guess?
Because obviously 2.2 into 11 is 22.
Yeah, of course. But why I am thinking like that? That's why I'm asking. Why I am expecting like this? Why I am writing like this?
Because it's easy to multiply first 2 into 2, then 11 into 2, then add both of them.
Yeah, kind of you are nearing the answer, because in our previous classes, we have learned a technique or the trick to multiply whatever the number by 11. It's very, very simple, as easy as we can add numbers together. Like, so therefore, if I see the like whatever the pi or something, I will see it as 2 times 11 by 7. That is pi from my end. That is what I see here. Right? Now, what you need to do is, you have to, first of all, you have to simplify this one. That is your first task. You cannot multiply this and this. After that, you cannot divide it like this. First of all, we have to simplify that, right? Because it's a two-way process if you multiply it and divide it, right? First of all, you have to simplify it. After that, we can do the multiplication or division according to BODMAS says. We will learn BODMAS in later subjects. So now we have to simplify it. If we are going to simplify it, we can take this 7 and this 7 off, so that that 7 will be cancelled out, right? Now we have 2 times 22. What I see here is 2 times 2 times 11. That is the answer for this one. For this equation, this is the answer, right? Not for this example, right? So for that, what you need to do is we have to multiply these numbers together, because since we are learning mental mathematics, right? So you have to multiply this number and this number, that will be equal to 4. Now you have to multiply this 4 by 11. So that will be 44. For this example, or for this particular question, it is not tough. It's not tough. It's very simple. But what if you have like 21, right? As an example, let me write it, so then it will be clear. So let's say I have a radius of 21 centimeter circle. You have to calculate the perimeter of that circle. That is the question. So now we can write it as C is equal to 2 pi r. Okay. This one you will get 1 marks. And then after 2 times pi will be 22. Don't write it as 2 times 11, right? Just write it as 22 times 22 by 7, right? You have to think like it's 2 times 11 from your mind. And then it's 21, right? I said earlier, if you are going to multiply this one, first of all, you have to simplify it, and then you have to multiply it. Maybe you have to do the mathematical operations. So that it will be like, you can cut these two things. So there will be 1, and then there will be 3 here, right? Then after, you have to multiply this 3 and 2. It will be how much? 6. Then after, you have 2 times 22 times 6, right? This might be harder when you are doing this one, right? So that what you need to do is you have to think like, you have to divide that 2 and give it to 6. So then it will be 12 times 11, right? These are same. Like this, you have to obtain it. Why? Because multiplying any number by 11, it's very simple. First of all, we have to add the same number 2 over here. And then we have to add 1 plus 2, that will be 3. And then we have to write this 1 as it is. So then it will be 1. Therefore, the length of that, or the circumference or the perimeter of that circle is 132, right? So this is how I see, and this is how I calculate it when I solve these kind of problems, right? But I didn't solve it yet. Why? Because I didn't insert the units. If you didn't insert the units, you will lose 0.5 marks or maybe 1 marks on your final examination, right? So you have to write measurements like units. It's very important. If it is in meters, you have to write it meters or centimeters, and then you have to write it as centimeters. But the problem here is whether it will come like centimeters or centimeter squares. What will come? I said earlier, you have to cut this circle by scissors and you have to measure the length. And when you are measuring the length, what will be the units? It will be centimeters. Therefore, it will be centimeters. Why? Because this one has a 21 centimeter of radius, right? So then this is how we calculate it. Hope you get the answer. Maybe if I provide you another example, you will understand it better. Maybe what is 42, right? So what if we obtain 42 centimeters of radius, right? So we have to write 2 pi r, and then it will be 2 times 22 divided by 7 times 42. We have to simplify this and this. It will be 6. So now you have to multiply 6 times 2. It will be 12. And then you have to multiply this by 2 again. So then it will be 24 from the mind, right? So now we have to multiply that 24 by 11. That's very simple, right? So then the 4 will come like this as it is. And then we have to add these 2 and 4 together. That will be 6. And then this 2 will come like this. So then it will be 264. That's very simple, right? 264 centimeter is the answer for this. So now hope you get the idea how we can calculate, how we can exactly solve that problem, like how we can short this one, simplify this one, right? So you have to think like 2 times 11, and you have to multiply the rest of the things, 2 and this 2 and this 6, and then there will be ending with 11. 11 will be remaining, and then you can multiply whatever the number you have here, right? So without writing anything, can you say what will be the perimeter of this one, like say 49? What will be the perimeter centimeter? Can you say it without writing anything? 7 to 14. 14 times 2, it will be 28. So 8 will be there, 0 will be there, 3 will be there, centimeter. Is it correct or wrong? Is it correct or wrong? That is mental mathematics. Don't have to write anything, just obtaining the answer. But you have to write the steps, right? If you don't write the steps, and you will marks in the examinations. I'm just saying how we can exactly simplify those things, right? Okay, so hope you get this one. If you didn't understand what we have learned so far, you can ask me questions, or you can raise your hand. Okay, so now it's clear. Yeah, what is your question?
Yes, sir. That I have a doubt about the simplest way that you're saying about 22. The before question that we did, the 2 into 22 into 21, you subtract or add 2, something like that. Can you please explain it again?
Yeah. Maybe I think it's better to explain that same example, like 49 centimeters, right? So you have to write 2 pi r, right? So it will be 2 times pi will be 22 by 7 times r will be, I'm just substituting, right? 2, okay, I'm just seeing there is 2, and then 2 will come here. Pi, we know that it will be 22 divided by 7. R is 49. So I'm just substituting this one. Or maybe you can even substitute those numbers with the units itself. You can write it as 49 centimeters as well. If you are learning in A level, you have A level physics, you have to write it with units. That is the way. If you didn't write it with units, you will lose marks in physics, right? Maybe in A levels. Okay. So here we have this one, this to be solved very quickly, maybe 3 seconds or 5 seconds, right? Without writing anything. That is the task. So here, what you need to do is we need to simplify this one. Simplifying means we can cut down up and down. Like we can, if we have 49 on the top and 7 on the bottom, we can cut them down, right? Because 7 times, if you divide that 7, how much it will be? It will be 1. If you divide the same, this top part by 7, it will be 7. So that is how we cut those two things, right? Right. So it will be like this. Now we have to multiply this 2 times 7. 2 times 7, it will be 14. And then we have to multiply that 14 by 22. This is what you will write in your notebook or rough paper when you are doing the calculation. This is wrong. When you are writing in your note paper, maybe in your mind, you have to think 22 as a 2 times 11. Only for this 22, right? So that it will be 14 times 2 times 11. This will be equal to this calculation, right? It's obvious. 14 times 2 times 11. Now, if we have to multiply 14 times 2, it will be 28. Now that 28, we need to multiply it by 11. In the previous classes in mental mathematics, we have learned multiplying any number by 11. It's very, very, very simple, right? We have to obtain the last digit. It's 8. We have to write it as 8. And then after, we have to add the adjacent numbers, this and this. 8 plus 2, it will be 0. It will be 10, but we cannot write 10. So it will be 0, and then 1 will be a remainder. And then after, we have to obtain the first digit and write it as it is, but I cannot write it as 2. Why? Because I have to add this remainder with that digit. So then it will be 3. Not 2, it will be 3 added with the remainder. That is the answer, 308, right? So 308 centimeters is the answer. This is how we calculate it. Very simple. If you practice these things like this method, what I teach you, it will be very easy. Maybe if I write down the question over here, even if I write that question before writing the question, you can provide me the answer. Okay. So that is how it works. This one is simple. You can add if you don't know how to add these things. I can't say anything because it's very simple. We have to add 8 plus 12 plus 3 plus 3. How much? This is a simple trick, simple questions. It's very simple. This one is 8 centimeters. This one is 3 centimeters. So 8 minus 3, it will be 5. You can write it in the question paper. Maybe you can use a pencil and then you can write it. And then after, you can write this measurement. This measurement will be 12 minus 3. So it will be 9 centimeters. Now you have all the measurements. And then you can cut this rope and measure the distance. It will be 8 plus 12. It will be 20, 23, 26, 31, 40. Right? So this will be 40 centimeters. It's very simple, right? Okay, likewise, this is also simple, but you have to apply a Pythagoras theorem to calculate this length. You cannot go with this way, like this. It's wrong. You cannot go like this, right? You have to think like cutting this and measuring like this, measuring the length like this, right? So that you have to find out this length. If you are going to find out that particular length, you have to apply a Pythagoras theorem. Pythagoras theorem is very simple. You have to, if you are going to obtain this face length, and then you have to obtain the square of this one, 3 square, plus you have to obtain the square of this one, 4 square, right? After obtaining the squares of them, then we need to add them together. 3 square, it will be 9. 4 square, it will be 16. We have to add them together, and then it will be 25. That is not the answer. 25 is not the answer. What we need to do is we need to obtain the square root of that one. You need to obtain the root of that one. So if you obtain the root of 25, and then it will be 5. So 5 is the answer. you cannot obtain like this. You cannot write like this. Why? Can you explain why I cannot write like this? I cannot put this mark over here. Why? Because 9 plus 16 will be equal to 25. I have put this equal sign. After putting that equal sign, I cannot put this one because they are not equal. Because this one, sorry. So this one, 25 root will be equal to 5. 5 is not equal to 25. Therefore, I cannot write like this. Right? So you have to, you can write like this as 25. And then you can obtain the answer. Okay. So
Sir,
yeah.
then we don't need to put the root and then simplify. That's 5.
Yeah.
Answer.
Yeah. But you have to write what you are writing on the left side. It depends on that. If you are writing that, let's say you put X here, and if you put X over here, if you put X over here on the left side, and then you have to be careful on what you are writing on the right side. It's very important. If you put X square and do like this, it's okay. It's acceptable. It's okay. It's good. You will get the full marks, right? After writing these things, what you have to write it like, again, you have to write X. That will be equal to 5. Here, X square. This one is also, if you not write anything, and then that will be equal to this one, X square. And then it will be equal to X square. But if you write something like this, and then it will be equal to what you are writing on the left side, right? So X is equal to 5. You can do it like this way. You will get full marks. Or you can do it like this way. If you write on the left side X, and then you have to write it on the square root, right? 3 square plus 4 square, right? So then you can notice that it will be 3 square, it will be 9, plus it will be 16, and then it will be 25 square root. And then it says for me to take a square root of this 25. So then I will take square root of that 25. That will be equal to 5. All these are equal to X. You can write it like this way as well, right? Both the methods are same. In mathematics, I can say. Okay. So after finding this one, it's very simple. 5 centimeters. 5 centimeters, you can add this, all these things. And also you have to be careful about what they are writing, right? They didn't provide you the measurement of this one, but they have provided like this dash over here, like this. This dash, when you are doing mathematics, you have to be aware about whether it's a single dash or double dash, like this, double dash, or triple dash, like this, right? So if they are writing like this one is single dash and this one is double dash, they are different. If they wanted to differentiate them, make differences, they wanted to show the differences between those two lengths, they might provide the lengths like this, 1 dash, 2 dash, triple dash, like this. But in this question or this example, they have provided like same dash. So then we can take it as same. So it will be 3. You can use a pencil and you can write it as 3 centimeters, 3 centimeters. Sorry, not this one. 3 centimeters. And this one is 6. And as you can see, 6 plus 6 plus 4, it will be 10. And then you can calculate that length. Or maybe you can do it like without calculating that length as well. Why? Because for this particular example, you can take it as x over here. Maybe you can take it as a over here. And you can take this length as b over here. Without calculating or without finding each a and b, we can solve this issue. We can solve this problem. Why? Because here we don't need exactly what a is. We don't need exactly what b is. We just need exactly what a plus b is. That's what we need in order to find the total length of that. Therefore, when you are writing this, you can put a here or maybe b here. And when you are putting that, you have to write it on the blue pen, but pen you are using for the answers. If you are putting a, b here, you have to put it. Otherwise, you have to avoid that, right? Okay, so then you can write it as perimeter. So then it will be 3. I'm starting it from here. So it will be 3 plus a plus 3 plus b, this length, plus this length, 3 plus 6 plus 5. I have calculated that this length is 5. Now, I have to write 3 plus, right? A plus b plus 3 plus 3 plus 6 plus 5. What I have done so far is I have just taken this plus b and write it near to this a. Both they are equal. You can do like this, but it's not necessary for you to write like this. Now, you can add plus 3 plus a plus b. We know that it will be 6 plus 4. Why? Because they are rectangles, like they have mentioned that it's 90-degree angle. So then 4 plus 6, it will be 10. A plus b is equal to 10. Plus, you can add these numbers and put it down here. 3 plus 3, it will be 6. Plus 6, it will be 12. Plus 5, it will be 17. Now, it will be 17 plus 3, it will be 20. Plus 10, it will be 30. 30 centimeter is the answer, right? So that is how we calculate it. It's very simple. When you are practicing these things, it will be clear for you, right? Okay. And next, there is a problem, right? All those previous things are very simple. Next is a problem, right? Why? Because here we have two things, right? We have two things. One is sector, and another one is what we call it as in English, arc length. Yeah, it's arc length. Yeah, arc length. We have two different things. Most of the students are confusing these two things and they think they are same. It's different, right? Sector is, we have to obtain maybe a circle, right? And then maybe you have obtained a rope like this, and then you have joint like this, and then you are cutting this rope, right? And then you are cutting this rope like this. So what will be the end? You are removing this portion. I'm removing this portion. So what will be ended up with? You will be ended up with this one, only this portion. That is what we call it as arc length, right? But you think it's not enough. You wanted to have like a pizza shaped one or something, right? And then you are obtaining another kind of rope, another rope, and then you are making a connection with that point and the center, and then you are making a connection with the center and this point, right? So this entire thing is called as sector, right? It's very simple. The difference between the sector and arc length is very simple. Arc length is theta divided by 360. Why? Because it depends on theta, the angle of this cut, how much you are getting the cut. Like if the you cut like this, the angle will be 90 degrees. If you cut like this one, like this, and then the angle will be 180 degrees. Up to, you can obtain the maximum of 360. That is why we put 360 over on the bottom, and we put theta on the top. So likewise, it will be theta divided by 360. It is not the arc length. Arc length is times 2 pi r. This is the arc length. Why? Because the arc length is not the entire circle. Entire circle, we know that it's 2 pi r. But it's not the entire circle. We just remove these portions, and then we just obtain this portion only. Therefore, that portion, we can calculate it by like theta divided by 360. It's like a portion, fraction of that particular circle. Therefore, this is the equation for the value of arc length, right? But if you make that arc length as a sector by adding this radiuses, 2 times radiuses, and then you wanted to find the perimeter of the sector, and then you have to add 2r with that arc length. Therefore, the answer for this one sector will be theta divided by 360 times 2 pi r plus 2 times of r. This is the equation for the sector. This is the equation for the arc length, right? When we are given an example or the question in the examination, we have to think which one is this, whether it is an arc length or sector. We have to identify that, and then we can do the question, right? Maybe we can have a 10 minutes break, and after that we can continue that. So then after we will learn these things and move forward, right? Okay.